let's talk about this twin dynamic,
Mm.
because I think it's a unique thing that you can talk about that I don't think many
Hmm.
people can. But I think it also is a wonderful avenue to discuss, comparison being the thief of joy, and
Oh,
all of that sort of stuff,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Because most of the time when people go, well, you shouldn't really compare yourself to another
Because you're
actor
so different.
because you're so different, you're different castings, you know, you have different abilities, etc., etc. And yes, you and Neve do have different abilities, you're not the same person,
Yeah.
but much as you say, like, you likely will not get seen for the national anytime soon, because
Yeah.
why would they call you in when they can call Neve in, who they already have a good working relationship with?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
And
the fact that
her first job there was quite, again, very similar to my first job ever, because
yeah.
she was represented by an agent who represents kids, but was branching out to represent some adults and started representing
Hmm.
Eve, had a really good rapport with people at the National. And then the National were casting for Leah La, which is a play set in Italy, maybe. It's not set in Ireland, but they wanted an Irish cast. So they were hiring for people to play these roles of, they had a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old. And
Hmm.
Neve had just graduated, so again, we both looked young for our age. And they were like, well, you could probably go for that role of Kutsa, who's 15. So when Neve went, but because she was a bit older, not only could she go for Kutsa, she also understudied the lead female part.
Right.
So she got in there firstly because they were casting for kids, but they did widen the breakdown where you could be above licensing age.
Hmm.
And then she got it from like, obviously that got her in the door.
Yeah.
And then she got it, and now she's got this relationship with the National. So luck does play such a huge role. I just wanted
Mm.
to put that out there, because just thinking about that, I was like, if you didn't have that agent who has a working relationship for when the National are casting kids, and they're looking
Hmm.
for older kids, and she just happened to reach out and get you, like, you might not have had this relationship that you have with the National. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where, yeah, I very much doubt that I'm not going to be defeatist, but I doubt that I will be seen by the National anytime soon, unless suddenly I get, a good film out and I'm more of a name,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
But how do you two kind of reconcile with that, um uh that the reality that, um because I'm always of the view of, the universe is abundant, there's opportunity out there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
How do you two, and I've never asked you this personally, um how do you two reconcile with the fact that you are up for the same stuff, that you are, I don't want to use this word, but you are essentially
Mm.
competing against each other, and yet you are
You
twins.
just accept it, like,
But yeah, I
you
suppose. Yeah, you
accept
have
it.
to,
And
right?
there was, I mean, you can't not, like, and as well, if anyone's going to get a role that I'm not going to get, I'd rather Neve get it. Like, you just
Right.
have to
Sure.
make that clear. But also, there's times where, and when Neve gets a role and I'm not getting a role, she's in the money more than I am, and she'll treat me like, any time I was going, if
That's
she was in the
wonderful.
National, she would pay for my tickets. I would go out and we'd be in the green room, which is not expensive, but she'd
Mm.
be like, right, no, I'll buy this bottle of wine. Like, do you want to meet me here, and we'll go and get some dinner? Like, I can still enjoy that as much as, maybe
Hmm.
not as much as she's enjoying it, but she will then, do stuff like that. Whereas when I got my film last year, I was like, oh, well, if I get, like, I'd never gone for a feature film full stop. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
this role seems very similar to me. But you get so many like that, so many actors, at least in interviews, like, that role is made for me, and you hear it from the person who gets the role. What about the 10 other people that role was made for that didn't
Right.
get it? So you
Yeah.
can't hang your hopes on, this role's made for me, and if I
Yeah.
don't get it, then I'm a failure. It's just, you didn't get it, there's someone else that was chosen. But anyway, I thought, this role's made for me, did a good audition, yada yada yada, got the job. And I remember thinking, if I get this job, not only that, I just secured another job that at the time I thought was going to be amazing. It wasn't, but hey ho. So got this other job, and I was like, great. And I was like, great. And then I was waiting to hear from this other one that would slot together, so I wouldn't be double jobbing, but I would almost do a back-to-back job, which I have never done. If anything, I get
Wonderful.
one a year and that is it. And it's like 6 weeks out of the year. So it's not even like 3 months, it's 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, great, I really, really hope I get this. Now I remember sitting, praying, going, I'm not much for a prayer now. Pick and choose when I decide to believe. But I was like, if I get this role, I will. And I said to Neve, I was like, I will take us both to Bruges on holiday. She was having a bit of a crap year anyway. And I was like, we can have some twin time, just us hang out, and I'll take us both away for a wee holiday. And again, it was not an expensive holiday at all by any stretch of the imagination, but she didn't have to pay towards it. I was like, if you put money in, maybe just buy some dinner or like go halvesies with one of the trains. And then I did the job and got the job, which was great. So I was like, great, I'm going to book this. And not only that, they had to do like a couple of pickup days, which meant I got like an extra day and a half pay.
Nice.
And it was a really good daily rate. So that daily rate, that day and a half paid for the holiday alone. Again, not an expensive holiday. I'm coming across like I'm Miss Money Bags, and definitely not. But I was like, great. I then said, don't pay for anything. I'll pay for it. So yeah, she was having a rubbish year, but we had this really nice holiday together. So
Yeah.
reconciling that, and it's not like, oh, you've got a job, you owe me. It's something you want to do, but also you just have to make the pace. Like I have to make the pace that I don't think I'll be seen by the National for a while. Really hope I do, but I don't think I will. Then I'm like, well, that's not the only theatre I can work at. Like, where else would I like to work? And now that I've got a film under my belt, I'm like, maybe I should push doing some film and TV, like more, because I've actually got a little bit more under my belt. So like during lockdown, like I'm not sending loads, but I'm sending a couple of emails saying, you worked with this person, I worked with this person, and this film should be coming out. I just wanted to like show you who I am, and here's it. And luckily I have a link to the short film that Neve and I did. So also that's the double-edged sort of, here's who I am, but also you're going to see the other star and character, my twin sister, in this role. So they're already going to have seen Neve, even if it's me that is emailing them.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm pushing that. But then having said that, Neve's recently gotten to do BBC Bite Size. Anyone who's listening at home who has kids who are learning about GCSE religion, Neve is one of the BBC Bite
Oh, I
Size
didn't know
presenters.
that. That's cool.
So that was only recently released, but that's something she did. So now she's okay. So now she's got a huge link to the BBC, but she's on the BBC website. So like these, again, very
It's still
small
those three
things. She
letters
can
on
write to the
that
BBC.
CV, isn't it?
Yeah, and she can write to them and go, I've done BBC Bite Size, and maybe get more presenting work. It was more presenting than acting, or be seen
Sure.
as an actor, because you can do both. That leads me on to the idea of pigeonholing. Like, it's also good for me and Neve to pigeonhole ourselves as twins, because for
Yeah.
4 years I represented myself, because I was with the agent that I got after graduating. Not going to name names. They probably work for other people. They didn't work for me. And I was like, this, after 2 years, I was like, I'm sorry, I don't trust you to represent me. You don't know my CV. You don't know that I'm an actor musician. When I told you in our meeting that I was an actor musician, this is ridiculous. So I left. I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. And at the time, my job was only working in the evenings. So I spent my days slogging. And I worked as much as I work now, maybe not for as well-known companies that I would go be seen by, but I still worked very
Yeah.
little, but still I worked, and I didn't have to pay any commission. So when I was doing that, though, Neve's agent would have represented us both as twins.
Yeah.
So then when that's the flip side, right now it's the flip side. Well, I know that my agent is going to be putting her up as well as putting me up as twins. So it's still just this extra layer of work. So yes, it can be difficult that we go up against each other, but it's also great that we're going for stuff that we wouldn't usually, no one else will go for. And not only that, it's rare that we actually do the same audition. It's more who's going to get this, who's going to get the audition slot.
Yeah.
Generally, we don't.
Interesting.
We only audition together if we're doing Bruiser auditions, and that's because we both worked with Bruiser. Or my friend sent me a casting breakdown, and I was like, oh great. And again, it's something she knew she couldn't do. It was an Irish role in London. She lives up north, she's not Irish. I was like, great, I'll go for that. And I sent it to Neve saying, email them, because they're doing auditions this Thursday. I've literally just got an audition through. And she was like, great. And she emailed, and she got an audition through straight after me. And then we obviously, neither of us got it, but it's not like that. If I was going for it, I was like, if I don't get this, I want Neve to get this. So you just have to make your pace. It also depends on, not every twin has the same relationship as me and Neve do. So a lot of them are very close.
But I think regardless of your relationship, as twins in comparison to anyone else. I think actually the way that you two are forced to deal with the situation, shall we call it,
Yeah,
that
this
you find
situation.
the situation that you find yourselves both in. I think it's a incredibly strong metaphor for actually how anybody should handle competition in the industry.